Behind the houses are dumpsters like the one you see to my left, but come with me over here. You'll see that the victim's house and the neighbors who live near her have incredibly tall fencing, making it almost impossible for her to know if anyone is actually in this alleyway. And just over here, an alleyway exit onto a different street, allowing the criminal to get away from the crime scene easily. Now, according to Grant, the city of Vernon is producing more water than city residents here are using. And even if you squat down, now even though most of this land is dry, you can still see evidence of the rain that occurred here 2 days ago on Easter Sunday. But as Grant says, the city of Vernon does not rely on rainwater to renew and refill its water source. The new ordinance requires the workers behind me to go through a specific procedure before accepting any sort of regulated metal. Gray isn't just limited to this one overflow container. In fact, what he does is he uses this PVC pipe right here to make connections to other overflow containers. He's also reusing and recycling. What might seem like an old worn down refrigerator is actually another storage tank, and inside is water that he can use to water his garden. And so instead of going outside the city limits to pick up a six-pack, some residents would rather they just be able to. That Texas sun can literally evaporate over 100 million gallons of Wichita Falls lake water. Some areas of the lake have been without water for so long, they've actually started growing their own vegetation. Now, I'm about 5 foot 10 inches tall, and as you can see here, some of this growth is actually as tall as...
And we've got it there, it's ready to go.
So if Roberts or any of the other Olney police officers are ever in pursuit of a suspect, this camera on their chest will give them an accurate depiction of exactly what happened. The entrance ramp to the garage is broken away and chipped up, but then there's also this. Now, if you notice, the windows are in one piece, fully together and in good condition. But beyond this cardboard that's duct taped to the inside is mold that continues to grow. Multiple examples of the pollution problem that still poses a threat to this lake.
I've been out here since 7:30 this morning.
Ronald Rampage's apartment complex was subject to a standoff between law enforcement and 24-year-old Andrew Reynolds of Edmond, Oklahoma, who had barricaded himself inside vacant apartment number 5.
I live right above it, and I didn't know what was going on. It's kind of scary.
Scary because Reynolds was armed with a gun. SWAT was called in and attempted to make contact with Reynolds. A few hours later, police were able to disarm Reynolds.
He's out. We got him. He's out.
And bring him into custody.
A flashbang was deployed by the SWAT team. That allowed them to actually retrieve a weapon, a handgun from the apartment. Once we had the handgun, we were able to talk to him, and he came out peacefully at that point.
30 minutes later, residents were finally able to come out of their apartments.
It's good that he's gone. I'm back in here. My family's back up there. My baby's sleeping. It's fine now.
Apartment 5 is now once again vacant and empty. The closet door where Reynolds hid still open. His cigarettes and a lighter still present. Rampage says he is still recovering from the shock of the standoff. He has this message for Reynolds.
Think about what your surroundings are. You know, there's babies, there's kids. Oh, man, I don't know. I'm just still not nervous.
Hopefully now that the standoff is over, the tenants at Harmony Apartments can go back to their sound way of life.
I would be for it, 100%.
It's not any worse than going to a bar.
Meet Austin Whitaker and his friend, Josh Erickson.
I mean, to be fully honest, there's nothing better than drinking at the lake, and I really think it'd get more people out here. You know, a lot of people don't come out here because you can't drink alcohol, and nobody wants to come sit in the sun and drink water.
We've talked to the police every time they come out here about it, and they've let us know every time that they're trying to get it into the city council meetings.
All the city property around the lake, including the lake itself.
Iowa Park City Manager Jerry Fleming.
The request has been made through several of our elected officials from citizens that we allow those types of beverages in that one park and not in the other parks.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of a family lake, but, definitely someplace for younger kids, to come to as well.
Some like Kalen O'Connor said they had no idea that alcohol was not allowed.
No, absolutely. There's no signs to say alcohol prohibited or no glass bottles, anything like that. I really don't see any.
There is one sign present. However, when it comes to the rules, it's literally full of holes.
I can understand if you wanted to keep the glass or maybe keep it in containers or stuff so it's not so obvious, but I definitely don't think that's really a safety concern because people are going to drink anyways.
Everybody's got to be mature enough to know that if we're going to be able to drink out here, we need to take that seriously and be responsible about it.
Wichita Falls resident
Jimmy Witt
is an avid bowler. He's been here for over 50 years, but Witt is definitely
I'm not a smoker.
A new ordinance would put a ban on lighting up in public places, including this bowling alley.
I don't think it ought to be. Their personal rights should be taken away, but then it should be very controlled.
I'm the general manager at Village Bowl.
Mark Pope says that smoking is controlled, but he also wants to make sure that no bowlers are discriminated against.
We have a smoke-free environment that we've gone to great extremes to try to provide for the non-smoking bowlers, and it also have a smoking area for those that do choose to smoke.
That smoke-free environment is called the Smokehouse Jail. Inside the jail, I met
Karen Bridges, senior citizen, and a bowler, and a cigarette smoker.
She says she has no problem going to jail and respects those that don't smoke. But she also says
it's very unsafe for us to have to go outside to smoke.
If the ordinance is passed as is, smokers would have to be at least 20 feet from the door before they could light up. As a bowler, Bridges says that's bad news.
Because if we go outside, we get stuff on our shoes, and then we have a chance of going down that lane when we throw that ball.
Meaning you could slip or stick when you go for that next strike. Bowling or not, Witt says it's a question of what a person can do or cannot do.
If you take away all people's rights, then you're taking away their freedom.
One of the nation's biggest retail giants was the target of an unauthorized payment data breach. Approximately 40 million credit and debit card accounts may have been impacted between November 27th and December 15th of this year. The local Target has advised media to contact their media hotline, but the problem with that is
you've reached the Target Communications Media Hotline. Please listen carefully to the following options. If you're a reporter,
it's so crowded with media calls, you can't get through no matter how many times you dial. They did make this statement available. Target's first priority is preserving the trust of our guests, and we have moved swiftly to address this issue, so guests can shop with confidence. We regret any inconvenience this may cause, and we take this matter very seriously, and are working with law enforcement to bring those responsible to justice. Monica Horton of the Better Business Bureau gave this advice.
We want you to be proactive and constantly checking your credit card statements, checking your bank accounts for any fraudulent information.
It's all right there, the convenience of swiping your card.
Rachel Wheat says Texoma Credit Union has already contacted 600 customers who made purchases at Target in the last 2 weeks.
This was not an issue with their financial institution. This was an issue with Target. And we want to make sure that they are aware that their finances, their money is safe, and we have to take steps to keep them protected from that fraud.
A small credit union cleaning up the massive mess of a big business.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for all of us, I think.
This was more than your typical symphonic show. 4 Texoma high school students were given the chance to play with the pros.
It was an amazing experience. Time for 3 is just so interactive, and they brought the audience into the music with them.
Violinist Hunter Sanchez is one of 4 Texoma youths who were able to play with the Wichita Falls Symphony on stage. Mateo KAUZ wishes he could do it all over again.
For me, it was like an honor to play with all these great musicians. Time for 3 is amazing.
All 4 had to audition for the opportunity to play on stage with Time for 3 and the Wichita Falls Symphony Orchestra.
I love playing with professionals that do this for a living, and yes, I do aspire to be that.
They were all mentored by the very professionals they played with, putting in lots of hours and dedication.
Definitely learning from my mentor. Again, they auditioned for this spot as well, just like we auditioned for this. They put their own dedication into it, and we learned from them. So learning what the professionals do is really amazing.
Learning how to play like a pro with a professional group.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
Why don't you guys go ahead and light your candles.
Everybody comes together in a time like this So we pray for the crew. We pray for the family who lost their loved one in the accident.
Oh, I'm found, was blind.
I don't care what they say. In my eyes, they're all heroes. In your eyes, they should be too.
When we've been there.
Father, there's a lot of things we don't understand, and we need your peace that surpasses understanding.
As the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun.